Hello, today we're going to be looking at doing some SAS. We're going to use some data that we used before. But one of the cool things we're going to do today is we're going to do some SQL programming within SAS. I'll show you how to do that. First of all, if you would please go ahead and I'm going to run this data that we have, basic information table. And so if I run this, I'll create basically pulling this information from the web. And we have this big, huge table, which is great, but there are some problems with it. It makes it a little harder to query. We had some struggles last lecture, remember, where uh, apparently the online version of SAS allows you to have spaces within the column headers, within the variable names. And there's a way to get around that. Traditionally, SAS has never let you do that. It's just put an underscore wherever there was a space. I wrote this code. If you're using the online version, you want to update that. I have in here both the online or either version. If you're using the one that I have, you'll notice it has this. Uh, so we're creating a table called C data. And what I'm doing is I'm formatting this so that we can run all of the queries off of it easily enough. And we have it's coming from bits. That's where the set statement comes from, the one we just created. And I'm going to create these variables, which I think might be useful. Permits issued, that's how many permits the entry commission issued to all commercial official permit holders. Permits fish, that's the number that the permit holders who actually use that fish to record landings. Latent permits, that means all the permit people who had permits, but they did not go fishing that year for whatever reason. Number of pounds of fish landed, and there's also total earnings. These first set of variables, columns that I have, they're formatted as a regular numeric with a comma. And that means there's going to be a comma every third over the thousands, millions, trillions, whatever. There's going to be, it's 20 spaces long. And the decimal means there's not, it says dot, but then nothing after that. So it'll just be a whole number, integer. Total earnings, we're formatting these as $1 with 20 spaces long, but then there's going to be pennies and dimes in here too, 0.2. So now we'll create these variables. One is permits issued, and that will come from the bits table, total permits issued, renewed, which has these underscored things in here. If you're using the online version, you will want to comment out this row 17. That's with the shift 8 little star thing that makes a comment. And row 18, you want to uncomment. That has, you'll notice it's just like the row above it, except it doesn't have, has spaces instead of the underscore. And so adjust as according, and I did that for these other variables that we'll want to pull over, permits fished. And then it has, SAS kind of barks at you a little bit if you try to add null values. It has no problem with numeric values. So I said if permits issued is not equal null, that's what the dot means. Dot means null. And permit fish is not equal null. So both of those, if they have numeric values in it, and then we'll calculate latent permits by looking at the permits issued minus permit fished. That leaves you with all the permits that were fished. We turned pounds over from, so these were, when they pulled it over, when we imported the data, it imported them as text strings. And you can't do mathematical operations like summation, average, whatever, on strings. You have to do it on numeric. So that these are changing these columns from strings over in text over to numbers. And you'll want to use either the ones with underscore or with a space, use it appropriately. Total earnings equals total earnings. So we have the permit values, variables will keep our fishery year, and then all these new ones. The double dash means everything from that one, from this one to that one to the double dash will ensure the whole. So we run this. We're gonna run this and let's take a look at it. I'm gonna hit the little running man thing, and I open up the table, and we have all these variables that we wanted in here. Let's go to the next row, and then I'm going to sort, and you can sort it either ascending or descending. it's a proc, so that whenever you run the proc as opposed to the data steps, you have to end it with a quit. So proc sort, there's a data, no key, I mean no duplicates based off of the key, and the key we have here are fishery and year. Oh, that's typo. Year. So these are descending. You can do it descending, or well, let's see what happens if you do it. So now we look at it. It starts off with an alphanumeric. It goes from all the permit types that have started with Z, and you'll notice it goes. The years are descending. Really, you probably just want it ascending. The default, if you don't type in, you can type ascending, but if you don't put ascending, if you don't put anything, it will assume you want ascending. So now we have this sorted. All the years are in order and the permit types in order. Let's take a look at this. If we want to look at only the hand troll data, that's a fishery permit type of B05B. I can run that bit of code. So I'm creating a table called DA off of C data. This is like, remember when we did SQL programming, use the where statement. I said if the fishery equals, and then there's the permit type. If we open up DA, we'll see we have all of the observations that we have for that permit type. Some of these are null if you don't have very many people fishing, and then because it reaches confidentiality, they don't reveal any information. So that's how we use that in SAS. If we want to use a SQL statement within SAS, we use proc SQL. If we look at row 39, and then in row 43 is quit, and in between we write all of the SQL statements that we want, just like we were programming in SQL. And so I said create table DB as, and then there's select star from C data where permit type equal B05B. I run that, you'll notice it's exactly the same thing that we had with the SAS statement just above. Okay, let's do a little bit more analysis. How many permits were fished in Bristol Bay salmon fisheries in 2010? And the two salmon fisheries are C03G and C014. Which have I created here? Table and talk about C data. Permit type is equal to, and there's two permit types as you can statement. We're looking at year is equal to 2010. It says if you're not equal, I guess the redundant doesn't really matter because it's not equal to 2010. That's how you do the not equal. I'm going to run that line of code in EA. I've got all of the information that we have. Using those qualification defaults, I would see just I see what TS and 14 in 2010. There's the information we have on there. And if we want to look at the proc summary, we want to do some statistics on it. I'm going to do a proc summary after that. From EA, we just going to create an EA summary, and we're going to sum the permits issued, permits fish, latent permits, we'll sum the pounds, we'll sum the total needs, and how whatever you're summing in here has to match with this. And so we will the same number of columns. So we're going to add this in order. The permits issued, the summation will now be total permits. Permits fish will now be fish. Latent permits will now be latent. Pounds will now be pounds. You can keep the name the same. Sometimes it might be better to make a different search for clarity sake, but total earnings, let's call it earnings. You can also do a mean, that's an arithmetic mean total earnings, call it average. So if I run that statement, now I have some of the statistics based off of table for. So for all the Bristol Bay salmon fishing permits for those 2 years. If we want to do the same thing in SQL, oh, you know what? I could probably make this. Yes, let's do this. We can make this just one statement from C data. I'll make this code a little bit more elegant. We'll just do it all at once. So we're doing the same thing, really. Create table, EB summary as, and then select. We're going to sum that, and that will create a column called total permits. We'll sum that column, we call it fish. We'll sum that column, we call that. So we've got the little commas in between. Sum pounds is that. Now we can run all of this in just one. And we have really the same thing that we have on here. See, the quality of the city. So that everything's all the same. So sometimes it can be a little more efficient to throw in a little bit of SQL in your programming. So we'll go ahead and delete this. And there we have it. We have one data in. A good programming technique is to standardize your variables, make a data set that you can run a whole bunch of queries off of, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time trying to figure out. Now, in that table, this column, we have a standard set of variables. Put them all together, it's one. As you go through this, please let me know what questions you have, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.